Let me talk to you like no one else has. Let me cut through the noise and speak directly to the part of you that knows you were meant for more, because I need you to hear this, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. Your greatest battle isn't out there. It's not with the critics, not with the haters, not with the economy, not with your past. The greatest battle is in your mind. It's between the person you believe you are and the person you were born to become. And until you master that battlefield, nothing else in your life will change. You can decorate the outside, you can dress sharp, talk smooth, impress everybody, but if you haven't mastered the thoughts running through your head, eventually those thoughts will sabotage your success. You've got to go deeper. You've got to take control of what you think, how you think, and why you think it. Because thoughts are seeds, and if you keep planting doubt, you can't expect to harvest confidence. If you keep entertaining fear, you can't be surprised when you freeze every time opportunity knocks. What's in your mind will eventually be in your mouth, and what's in your mouth will shape your life. Don't just clean up what you say. Clean up what you believe. Don't just work on how you act. Work on how you think. The world will try to define you, but if you've mastered your mind, you don't let the world have that power. They can label you, but their label doesn't stick if your thoughts are rooted in truth. You were created with power, with potential, with purpose, but if you don't master your mind, you'll never access what's already inside you. Most people don't fail because they weren't capable. They fail because they believed the wrong thing too long. They let insecurity become the soundtrack of their soul. They let fear become their best friend. They let pain from the past write the script for their future. That's not the life you were meant to live. That's not who you are. But you've got to decide, right now, that you're not going to let old thoughts keep running new seasons. You've got to decide that the real version of you, the strong, disciplined, focused, and free version, is the one that's going to take the lead now. That voice in your head that keeps telling you you're not ready, that's not truth, that's training. That's the result of years of replaying the wrong messages. Somebody once told you couldn't. Somebody once made you feel small. Somebody once left you feeling like you had to earn your worth. And without even realizing it, you internalize that. But today's the day you challenge it, because those messages don't get to be your master anymore. That voice doesn't get to be the authority on your life. You've got to raise a new voice inside you, one that speaks vision, one that speaks purpose, one that speaks discipline and destiny and drive. You don't need more hype. You don't need another motivational video or another good quote on your wall. You need mastery. That means you've got to be intentional with your thoughts, like a soldier preparing for battle. You've got to be alert. You've got to challenge every thought that doesn't line up with the future you're building. You don't just let any thought take a seat in your mind. You vet it. You say, where did you come from? Who sent you? What's your purpose? And if that thought doesn't serve your mission, you send it packing. You don't give your mind the freedom to wander. You give it direction. Discipline starts in the dark, when nobody's clapping, when there's no spotlight, when you're tired, discouraged, and tempted to go back to what's familiar. Mastering your mind means pushing through the discomfort and doing what must be done, even when it doesn't feel good. Feelings are real, but they're not final. They come and go like weather, but your decisions, your discipline, those shape your future. Every time you make a decision from purpose and not from pain, you take one step closer to mastering your mind. And let me tell you this, your emotions will try to trick you. They'll tell you, just stay here, just settle, just avoid that risk, play it safe. But comfort zones are mental prisons dressed up as peace. You've got to recognize the lie. You've got to say, I'm not here to be comfortable. I'm here to grow. And growth starts with the mind. The moment you stop giving your emotions the driver's seat, your whole life shifts. You stop being reactive and start becoming intentional. You stop being a passenger in your own story and become the author. People walk around every day chained by invisible thoughts, chained by shame, chained by regret, chained by comparison. They smile on the outside but live with mental torment on the inside. And nobody knows because they've learned to function in dysfunction. But you weren't born to carry those chains. You were born to break them, but you can't break them if you pretend they're not there. Mastering your mind means getting honest. It means saying, yeah, I've been thinking the wrong things. I've been believing the lies. I've been stuck in a loop. But once you see it, you can stop it. Once you expose it, you can replace it. The first step to mastery is awareness. The second step is accountability. The third step is action. Take responsibility for your thoughts. That doesn't mean you won't have negative thoughts. It means you won't let them lead. It means you won't let them define your worth or dictate your direction. You speak over them. You correct them. You replace them with truth. You say, I'm not what happened to me. I'm not what they said about me. I'm not the mistakes I made. I am powerful. I am disciplined. I am focused. I am free. And you keep saying it until your mind starts believing it. That's how you rewire your thinking. Not by accident, by intention, by repetition, by commitment. And let's talk about focus. Mastering your mind means learning how to focus. Focus is a superpower in a world built on distraction. Everybody wants to be successful, but they can't go 5 minutes without checking their phone. Everybody says they want purpose, but they keep letting every little thing pull them off course. If you can't focus, you can't grow. If you can't focus, you can't finish. If you can't focus, your gift will never mature. Distraction is the enemy of destiny, and every time you let it win, you delay your breakthrough. So you've got to train your focus like an athlete trains for the game. That means you cut out what doesn't matter. You delete the apps. You say no to the invitations. You distance yourself from people who drain your mental energy. You do whatever it takes to protect your mind. Because where your mind goes, your life follows. If your thoughts are scattered, your purpose will be scattered. If your thoughts are weak, your actions will be weak. But if your thoughts are strong, disciplined, focused, and grounded, there is no limit to what you can build. You don't need perfect circumstances to succeed. You need a prepared mind. You need a mindset that says, no matter what happens, I don't quit. No matter what hits me, I don't fold. No matter what I feel, I show up. No matter what voices try to talk me out of it, I speak louder. That's what it means to master your mind. It's not about ignoring pain, it's about knowing that pain doesn't get to choose your pace. It's not about pretending you're not afraid, it's about choosing action anyway. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. Don't underestimate the power of the small wins. Every time you say no to a negative thought, that's a win. Every time you take a deep breath instead of reacting in anger, that's a win. Every time you get up when your emotions told you to stay in bed, that's a win. Stack those wins, celebrate them. They matter. They're training your mind. They're building your strength. They're laying the foundation for something bigger than you even know. Your future is too important to leave your thoughts unguarded. Your legacy is too valuable to let your mind run wild. You've got to be deliberate. You've got to be determined. You've got to be willing to do what others won't, because you see what others don't. You see something in your spirit. You feel that pull toward greatness. You know there's something in you that hasn't been tapped yet. But to unlock it, you've got to get your mind in position. You've got to stop waiting for permission to be powerful. The moment you take authority over your mind, you give birth to a whole new version of you. That version isn't scared. That version isn't stuck. That version doesn't second. Guess every move. That version walks with conviction. That version speaks with boldness. That version lives with clarity. But that version doesn't come from comfort. It comes from war. It comes from fighting for your mind day after day. It comes from refusing to let your old self dictate your new season. It comes from saying, I'm not who I used to be. I'm not who they think I am. I am who I decide to become. That power is already in you. That fire, that discipline, that clarity, that strength. You don't need to borrow it from anybody else. You just need to uncover it. You just need to train your thoughts to work for you instead of against you, because once your mind is right, your life has no choice but to follow. Now that you've begun to wake up to the power of your own mind, let me take you deeper. Because this isn't a one-day revelation, this is a lifelong practice. Mastery doesn't happen by accident. It happens by repetition. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your training. And your mind is a muscle that has to be trained every single day. That means you've got to show up ready to do the work, even when the emotions aren't cooperating. Even when nothing around you is changing, you've got to keep changing in here, because what shifts in your mind will eventually shift your reality. The world will always throw distractions, drama, and noise at you. It'll tempt you with shortcuts. It'll try to bait you with comfort. It'll try to flood your thoughts with fear and confusion. But when your mind is mastered, you move differently. You speak differently. You walk into a room and you carry peace, even when everything else is in chaos. You don't let your mind borrow trouble from tomorrow. You don't waste your energy worrying about things you can't control. You focus on what you can influence, your thoughts, your attitude, your actions. You become the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the tone. You don't just respond. You decide, and let me tell you, there is power in decision. When you decide to think differently, you begin to live differently. But most people never get there because they're addicted to the familiar. They'd rather stay comfortable in dysfunction than take the risk of discipline. It's easier to repeat cycles than to break them, but you're not here for easy. You're here for impact, and impact takes a focused, fortified, and fierce mindset. That means you've got to stop negotiating with your old self. That means you stop waiting until you feel motivated. You start moving even when you don't feel like it, because mastery isn't based on emotion. It's based on commitment, and commitment means sacrifice. It means saying no to the lies that try to creep in late at night. It means rejecting the old labels that try to slap themselves back on your identity. It means being the gatekeeper of your mind, like your future depends on it, because it does. Every time you entertain self-doubt, you're feeding the very thing that's trying to destroy your destiny. So you've got to fight. You've got to war for your mind like it's sacred territory, because it is. You can't let every voice in. You can't let every thought stay. You've got to filter your mind the same way you'd protect a bank vault. If what's inside is valuable, you better guard it like it is. And understand this. The mind you build in private is the mind that carries you in public. If you're constantly pouring in negativity, insecurity, and fear, don't expect confidence and clarity when it's time to show up. That's not how it works. What you plant, you will harvest. If you want to stand strong when the pressure hits, you've got to prepare your mind before the storm comes. That means you invest in your mental environment. You feed your spirit daily. You read what builds you. You listen to what sharpens you. You speak what strengthens you. And you shut out what weakens you, even if it's familiar. Let's talk about silence. Silence isn't the absence of noise. It's the presence of awareness. When you master your mind, you learn how to sit in silence and hear what really matters. You learn to quiet the external voices so you can hear your internal compass. Because deep down, you already know what you were built to do. The problem isn't your potential, it's your focus. You've been giving too much of your energy to things that don't matter, to opinions that don't build, to memories that don't heal. When you sit in silence long enough, your real self starts speaking. But most people avoid silence because they don't want to face their thoughts. Don't be most people. Be bold enough to face what's inside. Be strong enough to confront the lies and replace them with truth. That's how you begin to rewire your mind. You create a new pattern. You wake up each day and declare who you are, not based on what you feel, but based on what you believe. You look yourself in the mirror and speak life, even when your emotions are dry. You don't let your mood set your mission. You let your mission set your mindset. That's what separates masters from the mediocre. Everybody feels tired. Everybody feels overwhelmed. Everybody feels stuck sometimes. But the ones who rise are the ones who have trained their minds to rise anyway. You're not going to drift into greatness. You're not going to casually arrive at your destiny. You're going to have to fight for it in your mind before you ever see it in your life. The war is mental before it's physical. The chains are internal before they're ever external. And the freedom you're looking for, it starts right between your ears. It's not in another paycheck. It's not in another relationship. It's not in another opportunity. It's in how you think. Because when your thoughts are right, you can walk into any room, any situation, any challenge and still remain grounded, clear, and unshaken. Mastering your mind doesn't mean you never get hit. It means you don't fold when you do. It means you know how to recalibrate. You know how to shift from panic to purpose. You know how to take the punch and keep moving forward, because life isn't about avoiding the hits, it's about outlasting the doubt. It's about standing when your past tells you to run. It's about believing when your circumstances say quit. It's about choosing to focus on what's ahead instead of what's behind. That's a decision, and that decision starts in your thinking. If you want to build a legacy, build it from the mind up. If you want to break generational curses, start by breaking mental ones. You're not just mastering your mind for you, you're mastering it for everyone who comes after you. You're mastering it for your kids, your community, your calling. You're setting a new standard. You're becoming the example of what happens when someone refuses to let life dictate their mindset. Because the truth is, you can have a painful past and still build a powerful future. You can come from brokenness and still build beauty, but only if you master the one thing life can't take from you, your mind. You've got to challenge your own limitations. You've got to wake up and question every belief that keeps you playing small. Where did that belief come from? Who taught you that success wasn't for people like you? Who convinced you that you're too late, too old, too far gone? That voice is a lie, and until you replace it, it will run your life. You've got to rise up and say enough. I'm not thinking like that anymore. I'm not settling for average thoughts. I'm not giving my energy to things that weaken my purpose. I'm building a new thought life, a new inner world, a new mindset, and nothing is going to stop me. Because once your mind is unshakable, your life becomes unstoppable. You start walking different. You stop explaining yourself. You stop begging people to see your value. You don't need external applause because your mind is already affirmed. You don't need constant validation because you've already decided who you are. And when you walk in that kind of mental clarity, you attract new levels. You attract purpose. You attract peace. You attract alignment. Not because life got easier, but because your mind got stronger. That kind of mind doesn't break under pressure. That kind of mind doesn't get swayed by every opinion. That kind of mind doesn't chase trends. It creates them. And that's the kind of mind you were built to carry, but it takes work, daily work, intentional work, ruthless discipline, radical honesty, and relentless belief. Every day you train, you get stronger. Every day you fight those old thoughts, they lose more of their grip. Every day you say, I choose growth. You take one step closer to your greatness. Your mind is either your ceiling or your springboard. It's either locking you in or launching you out, but the choice is yours. And if you really want to win, stop waiting for someone to rescue you. Stop waiting for someone to come speak life into you. Start becoming that person for yourself. Become your own fire, speak your own truth, build your own strength, because when you own your mind, you own your future. So keep pushing, keep challenging your thoughts, keep speaking life even when it's hard. Keep showing up even when it's silent, because every time you do, you are mastering the one thing that determines everything, your mind. So now the question isn't, can you master your mind? It's, will you? Will you stand up and take control of the one thing that shapes everything else? Will you wake up every day and choose discipline over distraction, purpose over pressure, truth over fear? Because your future isn't waiting on your circumstances to change. It's waiting on you to think different. To believe different, to live different. The battles ahead won't be won by brute strength, but by mental resilience. So dig in, lock in, train your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. And once you master your mind, you won't just survive this life, you'll dominate it. You'll lead it, you'll define it, not by accident, not by chance, but by choice, your choice, right here, right now.